Hey guys, I'm Katie from Mitza Creek Farm, and today I'm going to bring you on a garden tour. Our very first garden tour of 2021. We would love it if you would subscribe to our channel and like this video. So let's start up here at the house. I showed you guys a couple videos ago that I was building this perennial garden here in front of the house, and let me show you how amazing it's looking. These little planter boxes here that are on this archway, I had originally, I thought I would just put petunias in them and like some hanging petunias and just have it really pretty. And we had some extra tomatoes, we had basil, we had our herbs, we had thyme and dill, and then I had totally forgotten about the lettuce. We had a tray of lettuce that I had started and I totally forgot about it. So what we did, since these are kind of an awkward size and I didn't want to go out and buy pots specifically for them, is we took extra ground cover and folded it in, and I just stapled it there so it didn't unfold. And then we did a nice thick layer of wool, and so I really wanted to see how the wool worked. And knowing that this was going to be raised and air on all sides, I wanted to make sure that we had something that A, would fill in a lot of space without getting soggy, and B, would also hold in moisture but not too much moisture. So we put a thick layer of wool, and then we put in a whole bunch of extra soil, and then she transplanted lettuce, marigolds, basil. We have a tomato on each side. I moved the sprinkler too soon. This is butterhead lettuce and this is romaine. And then here right here we have thyme. And then over on the other side, we have kind of the same thing, but we have kale, romaine, and then we've got dill right there, basil on each end, and then marigolds in the center. I'm really excited about this. It'll be nice to have a little kitchen garden. I didn't want to have a big one. It's nice and cool here because it gets afternoon sun or afternoon shade and evening shade, and so it's a lot cooler over here, and the lettuce really seems to be doing great. Now that tub right there is also filled with extra lettuce because I planted too much. So, but they are looking great, and they are really taking off. And I'm getting sprayed by the sprinkler. We used this netting to keep the chickens and the dogs out of the pen, or out of the garden. But this side is coming along great. Now I still need to keep going over here, but it's a work in progress. I'm really happy with how things are. If we had consistent rainfall, I think the hydrangeas would be a lot bushier and better looking. But considering we're in a major drought and we have unseasonably warm weather, I feel like they are doing perfect. The mulch here is doing an amazing job at keeping these guys in pretty good shape. I feel like if I hadn't have put this mulch down, everything would be dead. So I'm very glad I did that. Ooh, gotta get out of the sprinkler here. I just have to keep moving the sprinkler. I only water this about maybe once every 4 days as it is, or when the plants kind of just start looking droopy. The little kitchen gardens there, I've only had to water those twice since we put them in a few weeks ago. They are holding moisture perfectly, and the plants are really healthy and thriving, so that was a really good idea to put the wool in there. Lily's succulents have really grown, and this one even has a flower. Okay, so now let's head down and I'll show you the high tunnel. As you can see behind me, the peas are ready to start harvesting. Now it has been so hot. We have not had rain for like 3 weeks, and it has been in the mid 90s every single day, a real feel of about 100 every day. And it started a week ago today. That is unheard of in our area. Usually the average temperature for this time is in the 70s, and we're getting down to, for a low at night, the mid 70s. Guys, 2.5 weeks ago, nope, 3 weeks ago today, is when we were concerned about freezing and we were having to cover everything. And we had 3 nights in a row of a hard freeze. So this weather is just absolutely unheard of in our area. So our peas are looking a little wilted, a little sad. We're gonna have a period where we won't have a harvest because the blossoms are all dead. Anything that's really blossomed in the past week is pretty much just shriveling up, and the peas are trying to stay as cool as possible. I do turn a mister on them in the afternoon. That seems to be helping, and we have the drip line running all the time in here now. So you can see they're droopy, not very happy. I don't blame them, but look at these nice sized peas. So we are going to go through and get these harvested. And this is our first pea harvest of the season. Very exciting. These are absolutely my favorite. It's so wonderful and refreshing to have your first harvest of the season. Delicious. So I kind of feel like this is the year of figuring out trellising for us. And I am going to be going probably in the next video showing you guys all the different ways that we're trellising this year. And I just want to try it and see how it works, see different ways, see what works best for us, because I'm really finding that the ways I thought that I would want to trellis really don't work for us. And so I'm just trying a whole bunch of different ways this year. So we'll talk about that in an upcoming video. But you can see behind me the peas we built A-frames that's like 7 foot tall. I think those are 10 foot, but they're angled, so I don't have a clue how tall they are. And then I just put a netting over it. That seems to be working really well. And then down the row in between, I did a whole bunch of zucchini. And so there's yellowfin and raven zucchini, and they're just all down the center. And they seem to be doing great. The variety of this pea will need to be trellised taller theoretically. It did get a later start than these guys, and I think the growth is being stunted a bit because it has been so hot. But they have blossoms and they look like they are starting to get peas on them. So I'm not overly concerned. They're getting lots of water. There's nothing I can do about the heat. So they are just plugging along. We have a small patch just right back here of carrots, and they are coming along great, and they are getting nice and big right along with those weeds. At this point, the last 3 days, the weeds have grown like crazy in here. Just a few days ago, there were 0 weeds in this place. We had weeded it really, really well. And because the irrigation is running so much and because it's so warm, they're growing like weeds. I will have to come down probably at dawn tomorrow and weed them, because really that's the only time that it is cool enough in here to spend time weeding. So this row is the beans, and these guys were just planted, I believe, 5 days ago, and they are massive already. They're loving the heat and the drip tape. I take this drip tape here, it runs down to those guys down there, and every other day I just take and I move it over. And so we just have these short little rows of beans here, and when we have the next cool day, or if I'm down here some evening or early morning, I'm actually gonna plant Chinese noodle beans in between, like do one there, or a few there. I can't do those until I get the trellising in here done, and just like along in each one here. These guys are all bush beans, and so I'm not concerned about them. And we don't need a massive amount. I did want to plant more than this, and maybe see how well they're coming up. I'll just keep going down the end of the row. But safety and being out in this heat has been our biggest concern, especially being here in the high tunnel. And so that has been our biggest concern. And so These holes are here actually from last year when I planted beans. The landscaping fabric was running a different direction and we had burnt the holes in, so we were just reusing the holes, and I actually think it's probably a little more efficient to run them that way instead of running them like a couple long strips that way, because I believe I'm getting more beans per square foot and it should be easier to pick. Now these guys over here are the cucumbers, and I have a few tiny softball size cantaloupes in here, and so we planted the same ones last year and they did not get the plants did not get very big at all. We just had a few. When we realized what they had lost their tags. And so when we realized what they were, we ended up, like it was kind of too late. They were trellised up with the cucumbers, but the plant did not get super big. So they should be great here in with the cucumbers. And then let me show you what else I did. Now this trellis here, I'll describe this in an upcoming video. But this trellis here is going to go because I have a different idea for trellising these. But let me show you what I planted with the cucumbers. I was looking for a way to keep hot peppers separate from sweet bell peppers, the lunchbox peppers. So I saw that pepper plants are a companion plant to cucumbers and melons. And so I planted the hot peppers in right next to the cucumbers, and so hopefully this will help us keep them straight and keep everything separate. But these guys are coming along really well, especially considering I just finished transplanting these. Today's Wednesday. I finished transplanting them on, it was either Saturday or Sunday. So these guys here are all serranos. These were smaller 4-packs that I had started. These were left over from our sale, and then these were the bigger single ones, and I believe I saw a few peppers on them. There it is. So here's a little serrano pepper, and they are loving this heat. Look how good this looks. That blows my mind. They love the heat. So then down here, these guys, these last 4 are actually what was left of a 4-pack as well, and those were a hot pepper blend, and I just had the 1 pack left, and so I planted those 4 at the end. The reason why I did that was because then that way, if it's a different color, we know what it is, or we kind of know what it is. It was a pack of seeds, and it was like spicy pepper blend or hot pepper blend, something like that. And so I put those at the end so that we can watch them and see how they're different than the serranos. Now in this row, this is the tomatoes that I planted right, I think it was the same weekend as our plant sale. I don't remember for sure. They have been doing great. Our plant sale was the weekend after Mother's Day, and so it was like the 15th-ish, I think, 14th, 15th. But these are like the same plants that I sold at the sale, and I am blown away at how well these guys are doing this year. These guys are the Super Sweet 100s. This was, it didn't have a label. It was one that I had pulled aside because the wind was so strong that it laid on its side and then it grew up sideways. And so I am thinking that that might be a Berry's Crazy Cherry or a Cherokee Purple. But these guys are Super Sweet 100s. Look at my basil. I'm not quite sure if you can see how tall they are. I think that basil's probably about a foot tall right there. That guy is definitely closer to 2 feet, probably somewhere between 18 inches and 2 feet. I've already had to start trellising in here. This guy is just temporary because it goes over to the other side, but they are doing amazing. Everything has lots of blossoms. And look what I found just a little bit ago. Our very first tomatoes in here, and these guys are Brad's Atomic Grape. I started the Berry's Crazy Cherry and Brad's Atomic Grape like a week or 2 earlier than the other varieties because they do seem to be a lot slower in growing. I think I'm realizing that they like the heat, because these guys just are, I would have never guessed that they would be the first ones. They're always so scrawny at the beginning and so tiny, and they look pretty sad. And now they're the first ones to produce fruit. So that's just absolutely crazy. Here's the Brandywine. And it always amazes me at how large the Brandywine blossoms are. Look at that. That is crazy. More giant basil. This is a Brandywine that got broken off when it froze. We had a bucket over it, and I think it broke it off. So I left the stem, and look at that. It started putting off a little sucker. But then I got a sucker from a different neighboring Brandywine, and now that's really starting to grow too. Not that I need more Brandywine, or really any tomato variety, because I have 92 plants in here, 92 tomato plants in here. But it just was kind of wasted space, and I don't know. You know how you get at the beginning of the season when you hate throwing away the suckers, because that could potentially be another plant and all that kind of stuff. So we'll see how that guy does. It's a good experiment. These guys, this basil is absolutely crazy. Look at this. Do you see how tall that basil is? That's crazy. Ooh, this Brandywine here is gorgeous. Lots and lots of blossoms. I obviously need to come in and prune again. And then down here at the end are the Amish paste. One had already collapsed, and so I needed to temporarily trellis that. These guys need a good pruning, but they're doing good, and they're like a normal Amish paste where they're kind of wispy and flimsy, but they're looking nice and healthy, and the stalks are really, really thick. So right here along the bottom are Loofa Gourds. I don't know how well Loofa Gourds would grow in our area. I started those super early, and we're trying it. We're giving it a go. So I'm hoping that being here in the high tunnel and getting a head start on everything else, that they really make a go of it. I would love to just experiment and see how they go. My plan is, as they grow, they're just going to trellis up this stand, and we'll see. So here in this next row are smaller tomatoes, and these guys were the ones that we had left over from our sale. These guys were planted a week and a half ago, or transplanted a week and a half ago, and they are doing great. They're obviously, this is what happens when you wait 3 or 4 weeks between transplanting. These guys did get a little stressed. I forgot them in my car for a few days, and they rode all over northern Wisconsin with us during that cold stretch. But they will provide a lot of fruit. They're probably at the same size as a normal outdoor garden here in northern Wisconsin for this time, for people who transplanted plants. So I'm not concerned. Down here at the end of that row, these guys are the extra bell peppers. We had 2, 4, 6 left. There's a few King of the North bell peppers, and then the other ones are Cherokee bell peppers. So these were the extras from the sale. They look nice and healthy, and they have lots of blossoms on them. I'm just happy that I only had 6 bell peppers left after the end of the sale. And then this final section down here, I did kind of a mixed thing. Down here we have Lunchbox Peppers, and there are a lot of them. These guys were a 4-pack that was left over from the sale. And then we have peppers everywhere on these larger ones. This guy is Mr. Overachiever. I've been keeping an eye on this one, and it's got blossoms and peppers everywhere. And then starting at this plant, these are all greenhouse peppers. And so these are hybrid for planting in a greenhouse. So they really should enjoy this crazy temperature that we have in here. And then the rest of these are all melons. So they're honeydew, cantaloupe, and watermelons. So that is our garden for 2021. We decided we're not gonna do the beds outside. We have so many other things that we need to do. I feel like every single day that it is super hot, we're falling further and further behind because we can't do as much. And our health and safety is the larger priority here. And so I just said, you know what? We're gonna get all these guys planted. We're gonna get all the pumpkins planted. We still have the field to do up in on the other side of the house. And so I said, you know what, we're not going to do that. We're just going to do these guys in here, see how everything does this year, experiment with the trellising and the wool and the alfalfa in the holes and see how that goes. And then next year we'll do some raised beds outside. And now we're starting to get a breeze and it feels so good. But you know, I need to pick up in here. We have a project going on in the stone coop, and so I kind of don't want to bring all the extra landscaping fabric into the stone coop because we just have to take it out this weekend. So we need to clean up in here, but we need to do it when it's cool, and it's not the biggest priority right now. That's a good rainy day project. Now, there is no rain in the forecast for the next, I believe it said July 1st or July 8th. So, and it's supposed to be, the lowest I saw on the extended forecast was like 84. And that's unheard of for our area. So we desperately need a cool down. We desperately need some rain. But considering that we could be trying to do this outside, and considering that we have a great well and we can run all this irrigation, I am so happy with what we have. We have the ability, we have the tools now to get a lot of this stuff done, and it feels wonderful. So with that said, that's it for today's video. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next time.